Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet?
I love people as I meet them one by one. People are just wonderful as individuals. You see the whole...
My great aspiration, my greatest ambition is to be so good. Now, in that way, I'm tiresome, as I suppose, to live with, because I want to be a fantastic human being.
I am the greatest. We're not disputing that, Cassius, but how does Sonny Liston feel about it? He can't feel but one way, and let's take everything I say and like it. Because February the 25th, I'm going to take back my job. I'm the champ. He's no champ. He's a tramp.
When you see men fall, don't laugh. Learn. Learn. Because you're on your way up. And the things that tempt people to fall, you and I are not free from that temptation.
Whoa, yo, what up? Peace and blessings, I hope all is well. Wednesday is around the corner. Shout outs to my writers, my poets, all of you. Many blessings to you. Much love to you and your family, friends, all that. We got a serious one here. I want to get to the bottom of some things. This is more common than it should be. And I think for parents especially, this is an episode that you really want to pay close attention to. I'm going to bring Sydney up. I got my clip. And if you have any questions, concerns, anything like that, everything down there at the bottom is available for your disposal. Let's go ahead and jump into this. I wanted to let her come up, do her thing real quick, and get this show rolling. So grab you something to drink, get comfortable, and yeah. Sydney, what's going on?
Hello. Not too much. Just had our dishwasher get replaced today, so we had that was our excitement for the day. Other than that, pretty good day. Not doing too much.
Okay, another expense that you gotta come out of pocket for. Yes.
Thankfully, because of where we live, we didn't have to, because that thing was old as hell. So since we're in a community, they're required to replace them. But yeah, that I definitely think of that, how lucky we are to not be in that position to, like, everyone else would have to pay thousands for that stupid thing.
Yeah, our washer went down, and I'm gonna tell you right now, yeah, it's not fun. That's one expense you don't want.
And it's definitely an underrated appliance. I've never appreciated a dishwasher until I did not have one. And then I realized how much I enjoy having a dishwasher.
Yeah, you never do really appreciate them things that you're constantly used to having available. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
All right, but look, this is a quick little story, and ultimately, a parent lost their life in the process of this, dealing with a spoiled child who didn't, and I'm not a child that didn't know how to control their feelings. They didn't get their way. I'll bring it up on the screen. I'm gonna let it run, and we'll just go from there. Shout out to Robin too. I see you repost it again. She be showing up. I appreciate that. Much love to you. Let me go ahead and bring this up real quick. Typically, I would already have had it up here, but all right. I'm gonna let it run, and y'all let me know, to the viewers, everybody, how you feel about this, because it's about to get touchy.
Right off the bat, that's a really cute kid. I feel really bad.
Hey, looks can be deceiving. That's crazy. And I do want to kind of look at a couple of those comments too, because it's wild. But let me go ahead and play it.
After she refused to buy him a video game. In 2022, Noah Mann asked his mother Kiana if she could buy him a new video game console known as a virtual reality headset. The headset itself was priced at $300, and Kiana refused to buy it due to Noah's bad behavior in school. This upset Noah so badly, he made a plan to get revenge on his mother for not listening to him. One day, Kiana was doing laundry when she was caught by surprise by her own son pointing a gun directly at her. Noah had retrieved the weapon that Kiana kept hidden in the home, and he fired 3 shots without any hesitation. Immediately after taking the life of his mother, Noah logged into her Amazon account, ordered the headset, and patiently waited for it to arrive. Police eventually discovered the horrifying scene and arrested Noah for the murder of his mother. Noah never actually got the chance to play the video game that he ordered online before being arrested. While in custody, the prosecution pushed for Noah to be charged as an adult due to the severity of his crimes. After over 2 years of debate, the controversial decision was made, and Noah was officially charged as an adult in the murder of his mother. As of the current day, Noah is still in custody as he waits to stand trial for first-degree intentional homicide. This
let me read some of the comments real quick, and I'll turn the mic over to you. You know, I feel a certain type of way about the comment section under stories of any kind in general, because some of these people, they take it overboard with some of the stuff they say out their mouth. One person said 10 years old and life is over. He killed the only person that would love him unconditionally and champion for him. Another person said if he can kill his mother over a video game, he can kill other people for anything. This is pure evil. Now, I read that one earlier, and I'm going to expand it to the replies to that comment, which is what prompted me to bring this to discussion. So underneath that comment, someone said, so true. We've all been upset with our parents, but if you're in an so true. We've all been upset with our parents, but if you're an old school kid, then you knew not to try this. Reason is you knew the family would beat your behind. This is from experience. Sad part is he knew he could get to the gun. That was the mistake. Mom made no gun lockbox. But he's a child. Look at some of the other kids. They plan this. Kid didn't, but pale kids do more sinister, evil, demonic things than this 10-year-olds. So they tried to make it a race thing. That was weird. I didn't like that one. Shouldn't be a color thing. Yeah, exactly. There was another comment in there where they were saying this isn't about evil. They were saying the kid just didn't know how to control his emotions and things of that nature. So, like, you read the comment section, there's a variation of different opinions on this. What are your initial thoughts?
First of all, I think this is definitely what that last comment said. This is very much a case of a child that does not know how to control their emotions properly, which is a huge factor in this. It's also, I think I mentioned it last episode, that kids don't have they can't interpret permanence in the same way that adults can, where we are able to understand that, like, when you die, and when you go to jail, you're stuck there. Like, we understand that our consequences will stick to us and will stick with us, but kids don't have that ability yet. That doesn't develop until you're in your late teens to early 20s, when you recognize that things can be permanent. You can't reverse death, you can't reverse damage, you can't undo the things that you've done. And that's another thing that kids have a hard time understanding until they're older, because your brain really has to have that development. But I think it's also sadly a sign of how strongly video games can be addictive to kids, and how, I mean, it's a hot debate, but it's just another example of how dangerous video games can be if you allow children to have unfettered access to it, or you allow their reality to be painted by all of these things they're playing and participating in. And this is not something that is unusual. Like, if you look up on Google, kid kills, killed over video game, or kid kills parent over video game, you can find story after story. One from 2023, an 11-year-old killed his parent. In 2024, a 15-year-old killed another man over a video game. In 2024, a 10-year-old gets an idea of killing somebody over Roblox. There's a 10-year-old in 2024. Another 10-year-old kills an adult and his sister. There's adults, like a 21-year-old shot his friend. A 16-year-old shot both of his parents when they confiscated his video game, and that was back in 2021, it looks like. Over Fortnite, over let's see, all of GTA. Like, this is not an isolated incident, and this is not a new issue that we've been having. I'm sure we'll get into it, but like, these types of video games, not only do they offer a skewed view of the world, and especially with kids who don't understand realistic consequences, they're going to they're going to see the video games, and they're going to apply the same thing to life, and they're going to be like, oh, well, I get a redo. Like, if I die, I just come back. And it really messes with their sense of reality. And in young enough kids, they literally don't understand that what they're doing is permanent, is damaging. It, like, they don't recognize it at all. So yeah, this should be an interesting conversation.
The mother, to me, one thing that I do want to acknowledge that she did do was she made it clear that you don't just get your way just because you want this game, but your behavior and the way that you're acting, no, we're not about to award or reward, I should say, bad behavior. So that part, I'm all for that. What I have an issue with is having a weapon in the house and it's not properly secured. You know, if you're a single woman, or you're, put it this way, if you're a single woman and you're alone like that, I can understand you wanting faster access to it. But when you got family, you got visitors and people coming in and out, I don't know how frequent, you cannot afford to have that laying around just so willy-nilly. And that part, I just look at and think, why was he able to learn about where you had your stash? I would, how can I put this? You can tell that she didn't talk to him about guns or weapon control. I know that was a touchy subject for a lot of people. I personally, I would teach my kids how to respect a weapon, knives, guns, all that. Now, depending on the age, that's predetermined by the parent. But that's something that your kids should be educated on because of situations like this.
Even if you don't have weapons in the home, a kid should still know what to do if they encounter a weapon and how to handle it properly. Because even if you don't have those weapons in the house, there's still a possibility that they could have a friend that brings one to school, or they find one on the street, or somebody approaches them with one. And a child, a person should know what to do, because even in non-hostile situations, even if you just like find a gun lying on the street and nobody's actually like pointing the weapon at you, even mishandling it can still kill you. So that's something that I remember. I remember reading this piece of advice years ago, but they said always teach your children what to do with a weapon. And truthfully, it really should be, don't touch it, stand there, call 911. That's what you should do. Don't touch it. Don't try and ask people about it. Just stand by and call for the authorities. But yeah, that's basically to say you really should educate your kids regardless. But if you have those guns in your house, 100% you need to educate them.
Definitely. In addition to that, I question the parenting of a lot of adults now, specifically, because this is a wee little one. He's not even up there yet, and he's already playing Call of Duty and the virtual stuff. That's a different ball game. It's not like just having a joystick and you're sitting in front of a TV screen. You're more in person with the interactions. I can only imagine. See, I've never used them before, but I can only imagine how disassociated a person would be from reality constantly using these things, man.
It can actually cause, like, if you wear it too much, it has, I forgot what the term is, but there's a term for if you like are looking at something that's relatively static for a long enough period of time, after you like look away, you're still going to see that almost like a mirage of what was there in front of you. Like I used to get that when I would work at I was doing a research program out on the ocean, and it involved like staring at the water for hours and hours. We'd just be like looking down in the water and observing what animals we saw and stuff like that as we're going in and out. And after hours of doing that, like when you go to sleep, you'd actually see the fish like moving in your vision, like black shadows as if they're there. And they've found that with kids where they like, it's like a residual. They can't tell that they're in reality anymore. Like they still think the goggles are on their face, and they think that the reality they're experiencing is still in the glasses. And I've heard this is a little bit unrelated, but I'm going to go on my little soapbox about how much I hate VR technology. But it allows people to disassociate because it basically removes you from your entire environment. And there has been countless stories of, I don't know, this drives me nuts, of tourists that go to these like Niagara Falls, the Grand Canyon, like cliffs, mountains, whatever. They get these VR sets to view the thing that's right in front of them. But because they have the VR goggles on them, they're not paying attention. And people have literally walked off cliffs because they were wearing VR goggles and weren't paying attention to where they were going and just like, whoop. And that, to even an adult, is super intoxicating and super impactful. On a child whose brain hasn't even finished developing yet, who's ultra sensitive to dopamine and who's ultra sensitive to all the flashing lights and all the triggers that affect how your brain responds to it, they're far more vulnerable to that. And now they are going to have access to this type of technology, and they don't have the type of controls that adults have. So it's, I mean, I'm definitely with that poor mother. I would not have wanted my child to have VR goggles at all. But it really, really shows you the indication of how addicted these children are and how utterly dependent they are on this technology. And honestly, I think there's also a cultural aspect, like that social, you need to fit in, and if you don't fit in with your classmates, you're going to be ostracized. That level of intensity is enough for him to feel that need to take drastic action. And I think that's really unfortunate that we're now seeing these kids so completely unable to handle just not owning something, not having. And it's crazy. It's really crazy.
That and the art of no. Literally, y'all are spoiled. You don't know what my final say so is. My final say so. I don't want to hear no back talk. And if you say something to me that I don't like, you're going to get met with something you're not going to like. And you're going to have to suck it up and deal with it.
And a lot of parents use the soft no's too. So they like mess up their kid's response to no, because they'll be like, no, you can't. But then later they're like, fine, you can have it. And so the kids learn that all they have to do is wait out their parent or manipulate their parent. And then their parent will eventually be like, oh, fine, sure.
Let me ask you a question. Do you, and I think I asked before, but I want to reiterate, do you think there's an issue with the rod being applied in like the biblical sense where it says spare not thy rod from your kids? Do you think that people now reject it because of the punishment that comes from it by the rest of the world that says you are a demon if you hit your kids? we will take them from you and we will lock you away. Do you
Like
think
the not saying no part, or
the not saying no and the disciplinary part?
I think it's kind of a whole mash of problems. One of the problems, I think fundamentally, a lot of us have just not been raised by effective parents ourselves. A lot of us have trauma due to parents not being there, to parents having addiction issues, to parents being abusive to us, to parents being neglectful or emotionally not there for us. So I think there is a high percentage of people that literally just don't know how to parent because they were not parented well themselves. I think there also is, I don't know if this is as common, but I think there is a level of fear in some people that we are in such a, what's the word? Not legitimate. When you like pursue people, like are more likely to be Karens and stuff like that in situations. So people are more afraid of showing physical punishment, thinking that outsiders might be like, oh, you're beating your child. You just spank them. Like, I'm going to call CPS on you. Like people are very trigger happy to contact CPS about potential, like people doing certain things, and people have their opinions about like what is and isn't abuse. And so I think it can be overused in certain situations. Granted, not saying that if somebody sees a child being treated poorly, you should just look away. Definitely stand up for children that are not being treated appropriately, but there is a time and place to use it. There are moments where you can safely and effectively use physical punishment to teach your child what not to do in a situation. And for my general rule, I like to use it when the consequences can be more damaging than what I did to them. So like they're about to touch a hot stove, I'm definitely about to smack their hand. Or they're going to pick up, they're going to hit the cat, I'm going to smack their hand for hitting the cat, because number one, they could hurt the cat. Number two, the cat could hurt them back. So like there are times that you can use it effectively. The problem is when you both overuse it, where you're hitting them for no reason, or you're doing it many, many times after they've already gotten the point. Or obviously when you go so far as to actually cause physical damage, because there's a difference between leaving that red mark on the skin and actually causing bruising, damage, and stuff like that. So I think there's also that stigma where people just don't know how to do it effectively. And so they're afraid of how people will look at them. And then I think there are also people that are traumatized, where they are like, I'm not going to use physical punishment on my kids at all because my mom did this to me. I saw this happen to my friend. I saw this happen to such and such. And so they're just unwilling to use it on their kid. And I think sadly, there's a final category of the people that are just so checked out and so uninterested in parenting their child that they just don't say no because they don't care. And so it's like the kid, oh, can I do that? Yeah, sure, whatever. I don't care. Like, oh, can I have that? Yeah, grab it. I don't care. So I think there's a number of reasons why somebody might not discipline their children when they should. But I don't know. Because I don't know this particular individual, I don't know if that was a factor in this situation. She seemed pretty comfortable. I mean, just from the story, she seems comfortable saying no. But it's definitely an example of why it's important to set boundaries with your kids. Like, obviously, this is a one-off, like, this is a sad ending, and this is an unusual ending. This is usually not what happens. It's not very common for a child to kill their parents, especially over something minor. But it's still something to consider, because with any sort of with any kid, how you treat them is going to affect their future behavior. And if they are showing signs that they're going to be defiant, that they're not listening to you, that they don't respect you, that they don't that they're not going to obey your boundaries, it is your responsibility as an adult of a minor to reestablish those boundaries, because those boundaries are there to keep them safe, to make them successful, and to allow them to remain within the boundaries of the law as well. So it's sad that a lot of people are not okay with disciplining their children, because it's a very, very important and frankly an essential aspect of parenting, that if you allow your child to go through their life without ever hearing the word no, we know exactly what type of people we're going to get. We have a lot of them running this country right now. That's a huge example of why you have to be there for your children, because children don't know better. They don't know what they can and can't do. And if you don't tell them, they're going to find out the hard way every time. So it's our job to teach them. It's our job to teach them how to navigate the world correctly, because otherwise they're going to bulldoze through it and commit crimes while they're at it. Yeah, you want to give your opinion too? What do you think, huh? What do you think of the word no? Yeah.
There was a reason why I asked. Because I set the scene, right? (911). We got a call. There's a report that someone has been found shot and they're unresponsive. Can you come to such and such and such and such? So you, as the officer, detective, you get the call to come to this location. When you arrive to this location, you discover this woman. The child is in the house as well. You have to do an investigation. You have to eliminate all possible suspects. You have to create a story out of thin air. Remember, these people don't have nothing to go on other than what is in front of them at the moment. So you're painting this story. You got to build a case. You have to bring this person in. You find out that it's the child that was ultimately the one who was responsible for this. You go before a court and the judge and jury. What do you present to parents and other adults they're sitting there and they have to decide whether or not this person should be tried as an adult? Was this based on their capabilities to make a conscious decision to do what they did, or were there other factors that play in that would alleviate them from getting the full sentence? He was ultimately tried as an adult. So when I asked the question, it's like rewinding the tape and trying to figure out, all right, how was the lifestyle up to the point to where he did what he did? Was she raising him by herself? Was there other people involved in his development?
The father's presence is definitely a huge factor in this, I think.
That's why I'm saying you tell me you're gonna try this person as an adult. He let off 3 shots. I don't know how you come to the conclusion that it was without hesitation, but you determine that a child, as much as we sit up here, you have said it, Jason have said it, at a certain age, your brain hits to that place where it is fully developed, et cetera, et cetera. But he wasn't at that point yet. But you still charged him as an adult. So either I'm missing something here, or there's other layers that hasn't been discussed. That's why I'm like, you definitely need to discipline your kids. And on top of that, you said something that I thought was absolutely necessary to put out there. Most of y'all are not really interested in having a relationship, like a real parent relationship. It's kind of like they're just there, you know. What do you do with that?
Like, from what do you do with the parents or with the child?
What do you do with someone who is a single parent raising a boy, and you clearly showed them the gun, or he's seen you with it. He's seen you with it enough to know where it's at. So you can't be as responsible. That's like saying, "Oh, I left some poison out on the counter, and you mistook it for dinner."
Yeah.
Like, as to a certain degree, I have to put some of that on her, just off of the strength that he should have never even known where the weapon was. You should know how irregular your kids' emotions are.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, it's a tough one.
I see what you mean, because I feel like in rare exceptions, like I think there are cases where it is purely like that child just has severe behavioral developmental issues, like a brain problem or something. But as tragic as these cases are, I think when it comes down to it, the parent is always going to be a little bit responsible, because unless they didn't have custody of that child, they are responsible for raising them, teaching them to handle their emotions, teaching them to handle interpersonal relationships appropriately, teaching them how to interact in their world safely. And if a child decides that they're going to take a weapon that they know is dangerous and use it on another person to get what they want, that is definitely an indication of some shortfall in what that parent was able to offer the child, whether it's the emotional disconnect that hadn't been established, or maybe the parent just wasn't there and so the child's needs weren't being met and they felt like they needed to do that, or like maybe they didn't get the services they needed. But I think always in these cases the parent is always a little bit at fault. And I was gonna have something else. I looked it up just out of curiosity, and a child would be charged as an adult if they commit serious offenses such as murder, robbery, or aggravated assault. And if a deadly weapon was involved, they're very likely going to try the juvenile as an adult. And so that's probably why he got that sentence. Also, I don't know if this is for sure because I haven't found it in an article yet, but I think they would have been able to identify the succession of like how quickly he shot her if they got an audio of the gunshots, because then they could hear how quickly he shot them off. I know there's some ways that you can tell like how quickly the rounds were shot off. So I think there is a way that they can determine like whether he shot and then she ran. And I think also like what the body does, if he like shot her and then she ran a bit and then he shot again, but if he like shot her 3 times in the back, then or wherever it was, she would have just like fallen right there. So I think that's kind of how they figured out his intent, like how quickly that happened.
Yeah, just off of my own guesstimation, they said like they were in succession, so that would mean that the bullet wounds would be pretty close to each other too. So that would make sense. It's just tragic and unfortunate.
He also shot her in the face.
That'll do it too.
Yeah. At close range as well. So he like got up in like that was a confrontation. That wasn't like, oh, she was yelling at him, so he was mad and he shot. Like he got up in her face. That's really sad.
Yeah. Super aggressive. Super aggressive.
It's ironic because I like all day today I've been watching true crime, the like Explore With Us type videos where they show like police videos and stuff when they go to events. And there was it wasn't a child, but it was a husband doing it to his wife. And yeah, so it's making me think of that one that I just saw.
Meaning like that the amount of anger and passion that he had behind, like I've said this before in different stories, like for someone to get up close and personal on you and stab you or whatever, that takes a level of rage.
Mm-hmm.
That
disconnect.
Yeah, you have to. It's a lot of kids, teenagers, and stuff like that, like he is right now. They just happen to live longer out here in the street, and they're reckless, just like this. Like you talk about Chicago and places that have dangerous neighborhoods. What are you predominantly speaking on? You're speaking on these teenagers and these adult men and these adult women out here that's living a street life, fighting over property that doesn't even belong to them.
I just found this fact. I was curious to see how often like minors are implicated in gun crimes, and 14% of crimes involve at least one reported juvenile offender, and that's been between 2016 and 2022. That's actually a lot higher than I thought.
For real.
There's more child offenders than there are like transgenders in the U.S. Because I think LGBT stats is like 3 to 4% of the population identifies as LGBT. So triple that, and that's how many minor offenders you have. That's crazy.
Which would tell you one thing: y'all not really doing what y'all think y'all doing. Protesting to be the greatest parents in the world. You clearly can't be. And to be honest, like in my honest opinion, this was prophesied anyway. Where kids were going to turn against parents and all that. this was eventually going to start happening.
I did the math again, just out of curiosity. If you did 14% of a class of 30 kids, that means out of an average classroom of kids, 4 of them will end up committing a violent crime before they turn 18.
All right. One of my classmates back, he's dead. They killed him in prison.
Jesus.
The rest of them are either winos or they're in jail. I don't really see too many of the boys that I grew up with anywhere to be found. So I can see that being an accurate assessment too.
Probably depends where you live. Like, I imagine in some areas it's probably like, for example, the school that I went to, I don't think anyone really, it was a rich white Catholic school. So I imagine most of the crimes that they're committing are like, I'm gonna steal from banks or like white collar crime type of deal. But I think if you went to cities that are lacking resources and lacking structure, and like places like Ohio and Virginia, I bet it would be closer to like 30, 40, possibly even like 80% of kids have offenses. I've heard of towns before where the police know all the kids by name and all of the crimes they've been committing, because it's just like, that's what they do. It's like the pastime in small towns for them to just go out and shoot guns in the desert and go like break into places and steal cars. It's like, I've noticed this increase where teenagers are more and more including themselves in behaviors that are actually like illegal, not like, that's kind of like egging a house. It's like, it's kind of vandalism, but it's still kind of a cheap prank. Like, I've heard of kids now that are, what's it called when you joyride, when you like steal a car and then take it on a drive around. And I've heard of them, like kids themselves are going and stealing stuff from Target and CVS, and like they're doing the smash and grabs, and it's just younger and younger people getting involved in adult behaviors.
It ain't going to stop. It's only going to get worse. To be honest, I hope nobody's really shocked by it. I'm not. The younger,
but not shocking.
The younger you become a parent, the less engaged you are. And the reason behind that is you wanted to be out here in the street. Then you did grown-up things, but you still want to be a child after you have created lives in the process of it.
Another thing too, any addiction you have compounds how hard it is to take care of a child. If you have an addiction to drinking, that makes child rearing difficult already. But if you add on other addictions, it makes it infinitely harder to attend to your children, because if you don't have children, you don't realize just how much they need you every second of the day. You really don't get a lot of time to yourself. And if you are lorded over by something else that's pulling at your attention, it's automatically going to make it very difficult for you to parent, because you're going to be competing with your needs with your child's needs. And often, like, this is psychology. Somebody who is fighting off urges is far more likely to show anger, to show resentment, to show violence, to be aggressive, to be loud, to be abusive. And if you have multiple addictions at the same time, that's going to make like your emotions are going to be all over the place, especially if you're like deep into it or heavily addicted. And it's not just addictions to substances. Phone addictions do the same thing. Addictions to video games do the same thing. They found people that act just like alcoholics when they're separated from their phones. And so we have parents today that are literally fighting in their minds to choose between their phone and their child, where they literally are so intoxicated by their phone that they could care less about playing with their kid because the phone is more interesting. And I've seen this in so many videos just of like somebody videoing at a park or like somebody in their home filming their relative or whatever, like just home videos showing these disengaged parents that could care less about their child's existence. And then the child sadly standing there like, hi, I'm here. Like, can somebody give me any attention at all? And I'm not saying it's the case with this mom, but if you do that to your child, I could see how they could become violent. If you're not going to pay any attention to your child and they are desperate for something, some need to be met, I could see how that could result in a child snapping at a parent.
Her not having her gun properly put away is a huge indicator for a lot. It's not something to really overlook. Like, I know, see, how can I put? I see one thing and then I multiply it by 1,000. So if it's like an X-ray for me. Now for the other person beside me, all you're going to see is flesh and bone. When I look at it, I see flesh and bone, and then I go underneath the skin. I start seeing the veins and the vessels, and I start seeing the blood pumping. And then I go beyond that. I see the cells, and then I see some. I always end up going beyond that. So it's like he had access to the gun, which means that she's not as responsible as I thought she was. That means that there's other characteristics about her that are intertwined with the way that he moves and acts and operates, which means that if you're capable of being so careless with a weapon, I know that you're very dismissive with other things, and there's probably other. That's how I operate. So I'm not trying to bash nobody who is deceased. It's just introspection, right? Because you got to look at yourself. It's ugly sometimes, but you got to look at yourself, because it'd be the very minute things that you think ain't really being noticed. As a kid, I noticed it. If you ain't talk to me when you got home from work and said hi to me, I noticed it. If you ain't asked me how school was, I noticed it. If you ain't helped me out with homework, I noticed it. If you didn't really spend time outside of the house and all, I like little things kids pick up on. Adults, I don't know. Y'all seem like y'all know everything, but you really don't.
One of my favorite jokes is if you ever think a child doesn't listen to what you have to say, just say a swear word in front of them. Like, that's going to come back so fast.
They make money off of it. They monetize the cussing. Do I have the video? Do I have it? I'm gonna look for it real quick. because it just kind of segued way into that, the whole cussing thing. That's real. That is 100% reality. Y'all treat it like it's cute, and I'm sorry, you could be further from the truth.
It's equally amusing and embarrassing because it's amusing in the sense like, oh my God, I cannot believe I'm hearing such a word from such a small, innocent human being. But then it's also humiliating and embarrassing because I'm like, that is from me. I did that. I have said that enough that they're like, oh, this is a regular word that I can use. And it's very, it's honestly very eye-opening to be a parent because it highlights everything about you. All of your little idiosyncrasies, all of your tiny little habits that you don't notice, they magnify. Like, for example, I bite my nails, and I didn't realize how much I bit my nails until I saw my kids walking around just doing this. Because they were like, oh, well, that's what mom does, so I'm going to do that too. And it's a very regular experience with kids where you won't realize what you do until you see your kid walking around copying exactly what you're doing. I've even seen like the more fun example of the mom is pregnant and her little toddler starts walking around sticking her belly out just like the mom is, copying her walk. But yeah.
You don't think we have a problem with disrespectful, disobedient, rebellious children? Take a look at this clip right here, courtesy of what we just spoke on.
Wow.
Why is your name Naughty?
Because I smoke this whole hood. This is my hood.
You're not supposed to be a thug at 5.
I don't give a fuck, bro. This is what I live at. I live in this project. Like, gay, smoking on tags.
Bro, you're
This all us. This all you smoking on dad. You smoking on dad at 5 years old? And who the fuck is his big cousins, his brothers, whoever, his parents?
Don't even need to play the rest. You already see just what you need to see and hear what you need to hear.
I can't say I'm surprised because I've seen some pretty raunchy stuff from little girls as well, like the TikTok type moms, but ooh, it's always surreal hearing little kids talking like adults. Not even like, it's not just the word choice, but even the inflection and even the movements and everything. I'm like, yikes, I don't even understand how you can act like that in front of a child. Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, parents do it all the time. I used to be on the phone with certain people and they'd be mad, they'd be upset, frustrated that things are happening in their personal life, and they'll be cussing and screaming and doing everything in front of the kids. And I'm just thinking to myself, do you not understand how negative this is? But that's
people also talk to their kids as if they are adults. Like, they'll try and rationalize with their children and try and like explain things to them or get them to make decisions by talking to them in the same way that you talk to someone who is 30. That was actually one of the things I heard in one of the videos I was watching earlier, where they were they're abusing their child, but they had video from inside the house of how they would interact with the child, and they were talking to their child, like it was very abusive language, but it was in the same way that two adults that were arguing would, what they would say to each other. And it blows me away when I encounter adults that it's like they don't even realize that they shouldn't be doing that. I don't know what it is, but it seems like there's a population of adults that don't seem to understand that children don't actually think the same way as adults. Like they just think that, oh yeah, children are just tiny adults, but they're not.
Like, man, if I don't get out, I gotta go get my cigarettes, and you getting on my last fucking nerve because you're holding me up. Get your fucking clothes on so we can get out the door, so I can go to the store and I can get what I need to get. You and your piece of shit, such and such, is getting on blah blah. What? You're the reason why I'm behind on these bills. You in such, like, y'all really be reckless. Y'all be really talking to them like they are supposed to have an adult conversation with you. How do you not understand what you're doing? I don't even know if that was this woman's situation or not. I overthink some stuff. I have a habit of doing that. Like I said, I saw that he had easy access to a weapon on, and then just to add on to this, just like my final pieces of thought, he had to get the attitude from somewhere. I mean, you just described it yourself. Body emotions, inflections, temperament. Did he see you doing that to somebody? Did he witness you be erratic emotionally? I mean, you saw it somewhere. You got it from somebody.
And
And
even if it's not like a living person too, the content that they watch as well. The parent is also in control of that. And even if they're like, maybe they're not showing it physically in front of their kids, but they're still watching it on TV or showing it in, like, letting it be heard in their music. And there's so many ways that they're picking up on this behavior.
Absolutely. And until people start holding other adults responsible, like CPS is trash. They don't do their job. You sending them off to daycares. They not even safe anymore. You don't really want them at home. It's to a point to where your parents are supposed to be the ones that's the safest to be around. You can't even take your kids to school without there being an issue. So I don't know, man. My condolences to the family. He about to probably spend the rest of his life in jail, and he's still a baby. Do you think that he was fully cognizant of his actions?
I think he was, in the sense that he knew what he was doing was wrong. He knew that, like, in a broad sense, he knew that I should not take this gun and hurt my mother with it. But he was 10 when that happened. So I don't think he really grasped that it would take her away from the world. Like, maybe he knew that she could die, but I don't think he quite understood exactly what that meant. It's hard to say because I don't know what his mental state was. From just the few articles that I found, his grandmother alluded to the fact that he might have already had some behavioral issues, because I guess it seemed like he'd sneak out of the house and stuff like that. But I'm inclined to believe that he knew the action he was doing was wrong, but I don't think he really grappled with the consequences of that action, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get it. Because I always got to revert back to when I was a specific age. When did I really understand what death looked like and what it would feel like to actually lose somebody, expecting them to come back?
It's funny because I was 10 when I had my first like conscious experience with death, because we had dogs. One passed when I was 2 and one passed when I was 7. And when I was 7, it was just kind of like they took her to the vet and then they were like, oh yeah, she's gonna go and sleep or whatever. I don't remember what they said, but she just like left and didn't come back. But with Biscuit, our dog, like he got sick in the middle of the night, and so we all went to the vet together. And so I saw him on the table and I watched him as they like gave him the needle and put him down and stuff like that. And so I was 10, and that was my first experience like comprehending death, and it messed with me. Like, it was very difficult for my mind to wrap my head around that, and it was very traumatizing. I ended up releasing it another way, like writing and reading and stuff like that. But it was a very difficult concept for me to grapple with. And I can imagine that a child, like, I wasn't playing video games like that at the time. Like, I didn't really play video games at all at that age. But if you can imagine like what 10-year-olds today would be playing, all the death that they're exposed to, they probably haven't really gotten a chance to grapple with that in a healthy manner either. So I imagine that his head space was not quite there to kind of realize what was happening, or at least the consequences of what would be happening. But yeah, it's really, I feel so bad for her that she didn't survive that.
To be honest with you, I wouldn't want someone like that back on the street. If I got to be a parent first, I look at that, the intensity of it, and I'm wondering, as a juror, if this is the type of child that's going to develop the necessary thinking patterns that's going to allow them to understand what they've done and they'll figure out how to correct that behavior enough to the point to where they could actually be put back in the population. I wouldn't trust it. Just all for the fact that I don't know enough.
He's getting 60 years too, so he's going to be in, or at least he's can get up to 60 years. I don't know if they've sentenced him yet, but he'll definitely be there for majority of his life, if not the entirety of his life.
That's rough. That's imagine being a child growing up as an adult behind bars around nothing but dudes 20, 30, 40 years.
And taking away the only person in your life that like was genuinely in your corner.
If it don't hit him now, what that feels like, it's going to eventually. And that's the part that's probably going to be the worst, when you finally grasp the true raw nature of that.
I think that's a huge reason why I could never commit crimes. I was thinking about that on the watching those things today. If I knew that I was about to be spending the rest of my life in prison, I really don't think I could handle that. Like, I don't understand how people can do it, where they could know that they have 75 years in front of them and they're going to die in prison, and they're just like, and they keep living. I cannot comprehend that. I wouldn't, like, if I woke up tomorrow and found out that I like got zapped into another reality and I was being arrested for a crime or something like that, and I had no way out of it, man, that'll be a nightmare.
Yeah. Lesson here: if you care about your loved ones and your family, invest in them a little bit more. Pay attention. Go to counseling, get therapy. I don't know. Take measures to prevent things like this from happening. Because so much be going under the radar. I don't know how you miss it. Of course, we've all been guilty of it.
Hindsight's 2020.
Fact. Thank you for pulling up. Shout outs to everybody that tapped in today. Y'all been with me from earlier to now. If you were here, I appreciate y'all. Curious to know what y'all would do in this type of situation. Rough. We about to get up out of here though. Tomorrow, new day. We spin it back. It's gonna be a fully loaded one. So make sure y'all tap in. If you're not following me on YouTube, pull up to the YouTube channel. Links in the description box in the bio. It only take a couple seconds. If you want to join the panel, hit me up. If you got a topic, hit me up. We always here, you know. But y'all enjoy the rest of your evening. Sleep well, drive safe. And see you guys tomorrow.
Say bye-bye.
Bye.